So lethargic surgery is a very good surgery in selected scenarios where the patient has got a significant instability of the shoulder, and I will tell you today the tips and tricks to do lethargic surgery in the right way, so that in order to reduce the complication rates which are actually pretty high in lethargic as compared to an arthroscopic Bankart surgery. So arthroscopic Bankart surgery is a very low complication surgery with a lethargic surgery which needs a lot of precision, and the complication rates in lethargic can be much higher than that of an arthroscopic Bankart surgery. The advantage of lethargic surgery over arthroscopic Bankart surgery is that the rate of redislocation is less in lethargic as compared to a bony Bankart surgery or arthroscopic Bankart surgery, because of three reasons: the attachment of the bone, the sling effect, and the capsular repair. So the lethargic surgery, which has been developed by French, works on three major principles: bone block, the dynamic sling effect, and the capsular closure. So these are the three important things that one should consider while doing a good lethargic surgery. Now, important thing about lethargic, the first important thing is the right indication. So you must do lethargic surgery in a properly indicated patient. Lethargic surgery is not a surgery which is indicated for pain. That is number one. If the patient has a painful shoulder, think twice before doing a lethargic surgery. That is number one, because the pain may be coming from other sources. The patient may have a cartilage defect, the patient may have a glad lesion, superior labral lesion, anything else. So this is not a surgery for pain. This is a surgery for dislocation. So you must remember. Again, this is not a surgery for a first time dislocator. This is also very important. It is not a surgery for a first time dislocator. Even if the patient has got a bony Bankart, try to fix the bony Bankart rather than to go lethargic straight forward. So this surgery should be reserved for those patients who are complaining of recurrent episodes of dislocation and they do not have pain as a primary complaint. Second thing, bone loss wise, ideally lethargic surgery should be reserved for those patients who have bone loss which is more than 20%, and at least if you do it in extended indication, at least 50%. Don't do it in the bone loss which is less than that. There are a number of studies which shows that there is a complication in the lethargic, and the complication is the reabsorption of the bone block. This reabsorption of the bone block is inversely proportional to the bone loss. So if the bone loss is high, the union will be better and resorption will be less. But if the bone loss is low and you put a lethargic, you put a graft, the chances of graft resorption will be higher. So that is very important. So avoid doing this surgery in subcritical bone loss. That is very important. So this is about the indications. Again, this surgery should be avoided in old patients. So as I told you in the morning, old patient more than 40 years of age with episode of similar dislocation with a bone fragment, better to fix that fragment rather than doing a lethargic straight forward. Okay, so this is very important. So for me, an ideal indication will be to a very young patient who is active and who is having a repeated episodes of redislocation with a bone loss more than 20% will form an ideal indication for me to do a lethargic surgery. Now, technically, this is a precision surgery, so you need to have a lot of things that you need to keep in the mind. And as I told you, this surgery has got a higher complication rate. So we'll come into complications one by one, and we'll discuss what treatment we can give. So basic immediate post-operative complications are same to other complications, but the important thing here is there can be nerve injuries which are specifically axillary nerve and musculocutaneous nerve. So whenever you are doing a procedure of lethargic, ideally make a habit to isolate musculocutaneous nerve and axillary nerve before harvesting the graft and fixing the graft. So harvesting is important. The other important thing in Indian scenario is the small size of coracoid. So in Indian scenario, typically female patients, you will have coracoids which are very small and which can break. So once in a time I was doing the surgery and it happened to me that the graft break, which can happen. So because it was a female, small size, small stretches, so very small size. So in Indian patients, Asian patients, small stature patient, the coracoid may be small to put 2 screws. So then again that can be an issue. The important second thing is you need to harvest a good length of coracoid. Occasionally it may happen that you harvest less length of coracoid, and that can lead to again problem with putting 2 screws into the coracoid. So coracoid harvest, you should keep it as long as possible near to the spine of the scapula, and occasionally the graft can fracture. So you have to be very careful while drilling the 2 screw heads. So that is very important. So these things you need to take care while doing the procedure. Now graft positioning is very important. Now this graft should be ideally at the level of the glenoid surface. If it is proud, it can lead to osteoarthritis, which is a very bad complication after the lethargic procedure. So if the graft is proud, it may lead to osteoarthritis, and if the graft is more medial, it may cause sort of a residual little bit of micro instability or this micro instability sort of thing. The patient may feel a little bit of instability. So it should be ideally at the level of the glenoid, and if you want to err, don't err on the proud side. You can err a little bit on the medial side, but it should never be proud. Same, the screw head should not be proud, and ideally it is always recommended that you close the capsule to make the graft extra capsular. So that is important, so that it causes less amount of osteoarthritis. Superolaterally, the position again should be inferior. If it is positioned more superior, then again it will not serve the purpose of the bone block. So again, inferiorly it should be right at this position to prevent. The screws should be bicortical, and screw should have a good compression of the bone block on the ligament. So these are again some things which you should take care of. Okay. The other things which is important is graft resorption, as I told you. So graft resorption usually occurs in the superior portion of the graft. So many patients will complain to you about, and when you do the serial follow-up CT scans, you may see superior pole of the superior part of the coracoid on the attachment at the level of superior screw, which may absorb. And as I told you, this absorption will be more if the bone loss is less. So these are the things you need to take care. Arthritis is again one bad late complication. Painful shoulder after lethargy, as I told you, can be because of many reasons. One thing is that if you fail to address the superior labral and posterior pathology, because most of the times when you are doing lethargy, it will be an open surgery, that is can be one. The cartilage defect, if the patient has a glad lesion here, you may not be able to address it while doing a lethargy. So again, as I told you, don't do it for a painful patient. Do it for an unstable patient with a bone loss. So these are the things that you should consider. Now, if a patient presents to you with a painful shoulder after a lethargic procedure, what will you do? So you need to do basic investigations. One, you need to do X-ray, epilateral, and then ideally you should do a CT scan with a 3D reconstruction to actually assess the size and position and the fixation of the bone block. That is number one. And occasionally, if the patient has a neuropathic pain, you might consider doing a EMG.